Hello and welcome to the super important show. On tonight's show, we have dominatrixes getting dungeons, we have Santas getting tanked, and we have a blind guy getting revenge, which makes me incredibly happy. I am one of your hosts, Destin Diodato, and I am joined by two other amazing folks to go through all those stories tonight. First up, Heather Jules Booth. Heather Jules Booth, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And we have a special guest tonight, as we do most shows. The first time we're having him on, comedian Jacob Williams. Jacob, how are you?
Great. Happy New Year. Hello.
Happy
Good
New
to
Year.
see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Jacob, tell people a little bit about who you are. What's your story?
Oh, sure. Hey, what's up? I'm Jacob Williams. I'm a comedian. I do comedy around New York. I've done a lot of shows with Heather, including readings of existing movies and original scripts and comedy improv and stuff. But yeah, and karaoke as well. But I do a lot of stand-up comedy. I have a special called Unemotional Roller Coaster on YouTube, and people might have seen me on Wild and Out, the MTV hip-hop improv show. But I do a lot of stand-up around wherever they have me.
Nice, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Heather. Are you ready to get us into it? Are you ready to kick us right into World You Crazy?
Absolutely, you know it. So, as a festive dive back into the show after we've been off for the holidays, what have you missed? Why, you've missed pub crawling Santas driving an armored vehicle and getting stuck in a Cornish hedge. Yep, that's right, everybody. Traffic was blocked after a vintage tank being driven by several Santas got wedged in a narrow lane. This was happening in the UK. Some pedestrians, people complained about the traffic being blocked, and the British police were called after Santas believed to be on a pub crawl wedged themselves in a hedge at Marsh Lane. Police were called. The vehicle was damaged. No one was arrested. Apparently, everyone was okay. There were no injuries.
Wait. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Hold
Go
on.
ahead.
You're telling me that the Santas in a tank hit a bush and the vehicle was damaged?
Yep, they damaged that tank.
How does the bush, like, look, I have a picture of this fucking thing. Okay, like,
man, Dustin's dropping the F-bomb early.
Yeah, that's a tank. And if that's hard to see, I have a daytime. That is a tank. What kind of bush do you hit that takes that out? I don't understand.
Listen, I don't disagree, but let's not forget they were probably drunk.
Right, but you should be able to drive a tank into, like, a tree. Like, you should be able to drive a tank into a building. That's the whole point of tanks. That's what they do. Am I wrong? Like,
Well,
no, not wrong.
I do.
Not wrong.
I do have the video too. If you want the
please.
video,
Yeah, please.
they're right by some sort of Christmas decoration kind of thing, and
Christmas decoration's really cool.
yeah, there they are.
well,
Like,
And I think
that's
they're
not
trying to move that other car, right, to make room.
Yeah.
Also, I like that there's one guy just in that tank. Oh, he's standing in it. I see.
But, like, that's not that impressive of a bush, is all I'm saying. That's just a bush.
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Anyway.
So I was reading a separate story about this, and there were some good quotes from British people. One said, "Well, that was eventful." Another person said, "An actual army tank driven by inebriated Santas trying to get to a pub got stuck on the way." Somebody else said, "This is why we couldn't drive." So it's just the British, like, calm outrage is so funny. And then the final quote says, "There was a group of Santas in the tank, and they were all very friendly and full of Christmas joy."
Yeah. And lots of other things.
But I also laugh at how, like, I feel like if this were an American story, you just hear just angry, pissed off people being like, and the British people are like, "Well, that's delightful.
Yeah.
Oh, what an interesting thing that I saw."
I want to respond to Michelle's comment in chat.
Just saw Michelle's comment.
But I don't know if I legally can. So I think I'll just leave it alone, but just know I want to respond, but I feel like every answer gets me in trouble. So I'm just gonna stay away.
Joy brings up a good point. Built like a tank has less meaning.
Yeah, apparently. Jacob, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, good question. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to do the chat as well. But no, that's crazy. I don't know what to say. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Heather, anything else? Because I cut you off before you got to your end.
No, you're good. I mean, that literally the end of that story was the nice British person saying they were all very full of Christmas joy. And I'm like, that's one thing to call it. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say the one thing I would love to know, and no story that I looked at could I find this detail, which is where they got this tank. How did they have access to this tank?
Agreed.
Like, did they steal the tank? Did one of their members have a tank?
Look, if we have British viewers out there, I apologize in advance. Is it possible that British tanks are crap and that they just give them away when they're done? And that's why a Bush took it out. Like, is it possible that just the British are very bad at making tanks? I don't know. I've never dealt with the British military and their tanks, but like, could that be it? Could it just be that like, they're just like, you can't do any damage with this tank, and they just like sell them?
I mean, they did say that it was a vintage tank. Again, I don't know if that's better or worse, because I feel like they made things pretty good in the olden days, especially like weapon vehicles. But
Michelle,
chat is
Joy. Okay,
hold on, Joyce.
You can't get in on this.
Wow.
There are certain things that you cannot get in on. And that's one of them.
Wow.
That's
pretty good.
You're forcing me into territory that is bad territory. So, anyway.
That's pretty good. Maybe you don't know an impressive bush when you see it. I think that's just the quote of the night already.
I can't. I'm trapped. I'm trapped on this one.
By the bush, clearly.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Well, I guess they asked for the tank for Christmas, and so they had to send a thank you note. All right, that's all I got.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, we're definitely moving on now. We're definitely moving on after this.
Oh, that joke really tanked. All right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. What? Oh, the camera stopped working. Oh my goodness. No, Jacob. What
happened?
No, I was cutting off of his camera because of the tank unit.
Because of the mighty bush, yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's. We could say, speaking of, I'm not going to do it. There's a segue there, but I'm not going to do it. Jacob, let's move on to your story, and then you'll all understand what the segue was.
Okay. Yeah, you sent me this. Do I read the headline? Is that? I don't know. Yeah, you can just ballpark it. You can just read the headline and like. I have to be honest. I didn't really read the details of this story, but it was basically Florida dominatrix group demands $250,000 for a dungeon from local city council.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go through it briefly, and we could actually go back and before I do, let's take a look at these fine ladies who were these three women showed up at a Florida local city council.
I think you cut to the people in the tank at first.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
These three ladies showed up and basically said to the city council, like, hey, you guys throw around a lot of money for a lot of dumb things, and you could be throwing it around for better things. So we're suggesting maybe dropping $250,000 on a dungeon, on a city-owned dungeon. While we're talking about this, I can bring up the.
Okay. Is Ms.
Listening.
Crave here? You signed up to speak. Would you care to speak?
Just a normal looking little city council meeting going on. And then, as we saw before, these 3 very badass ladies decided that they were going to talk. Never really giving much information about
Good
themselves.
evening.
Good evening.
I'll let us listen for a little bit.
Good evening, council peoples. You may call me mistress. I am here standing neutral
supposed
to
to
the
hear
motion
something?
approving
Yeah, I
the
can
agreement
hear.
Oh, you
for
guys
the
can't hear it?
proprietary purchase
No.
of yard
Oh.
waste processing and
Hold
disposal.
on, I will come
It
It
back
looks
to
really
it.
futuristic, though.
Yeah.
Also, for everyone seeing the chat, I guess we just can't hear it. That's okay.
Yeah.
For anyone in the chat, feel free to click that link that I put in the chat for a similar look to one of these folks.
Yeah. What I would need to do to make it so that you guys can hear it is would probably derail us pretty bad.
I'm just
so-
going to imagine in my mind what they're saying,
Yeah, and it's a 2-minute
Which is-
video, so it's
which is like, we demand a dungeon.
right.
It's our right to have a dungeon.
Yeah. And at the end of the video, I appreciate the fact that like the end of the video that they say thank you and all that, and then the city council person is like, "Hey, does anybody know if any other towns have a dungeon?" Like it just and one person's like, "I think maybe this town." He's like, "Don't start don't like."
He's like, no, the answer's supposed to be no.
Right. Which the answer is no. But anyway, so yeah, so these 3 women decided that they were going to ask this. Like, look, if any area needs a dungeon, if any state would pay $250,000 for a state-run dungeon, it's going to be Florida, right? Like, is there any other state that would make sense?
Maybe Las Vegas.
Maybe. So, Jacob,
Maybe Vegas.
would you be okay with your taxpayer dollars going to a dungeon?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm sure my money's been spent on worse things for taxes, but like the tank for the Santas or something. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess if it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but given the so you're saying given the choice though, you would rather your money be spent on which would you rather your money be spent on a dungeon or would you rather be spent on a tank for drunk Santas? If you had to pick.
I guess I'll go dungeon. I don't know. That's tough. It's a tough call.
Sure. I mean, I guess everybody could enjoy the dungeon depending on their
Well, and I feel like if you're setting up a dungeon, that's a group of people who know what they're doing. They're comfortable with it. They've all gotten consent. They're all consenting to it. So, like, I feel like there's a lot less danger in that than there is in a bunch of drunk Santas driving a tank, which is like,
True.
Hitting a bush and who knows what else.
But here's the thing. I assume that if you are asking the city for the money, then the city essentially is going to run said dungeon. So it's going to be like joining the city pool, or whatever, where you get a sticker and then you go there and like.
That does feel like a lot scarier, the city run aspect of it, rather than like, a privately owned dungeon that like is run to dungeon standards.
Yeah. Although the dungeon's probably still less torturous than like a regular city run DMV or something.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point.
Yeah. At least somebody's happy at the end of at the end of the dungeon situation.
And you know what you're getting into, unlike the DMV.
Right. You know you're going to get hit with a stick at the DMV, but
The only DMV there is dominatrix Martha Vineyard or whatever the person's name is.
You may have just hit on an idea.
Yeah, that would be awesome if that turned out to be her name. Do we want to move?
I deliberately want a dungeon to open up in Martha Vineyard.
I actually misunderstood the headline at first. I thought it was like they were selling this dungeon, and I was like, "All right, I'm in. I'm gonna buy it." But,
nice.
But I didn't know they were asking for money.
I mean, $250,000 for a dungeon is probably not the worst. Yeah,
I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never purchased one, so it's hard for me to say what a good price is.
I buy them all the time, and yeah, it seems like a good deal.
Okay, are you announcing your new show, Dungeon Flippers, where you buy it and sell it to local communities?
Dungeon Hunters, yeah, absolutely.
Dungeon Hunters. It's got to have a crafting nook.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Dungeons and Dungeons, instead of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. I got nothing.
Michelle pointing out that the pit attic
the pit attic was kind of one. Yeah.
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 Cool.
Except the no. Go ahead.
Yeah, some of those open mics were definitely.
Yeah.
Those were dungeons. And were you consenting to being in that space? You didn't realize.
You also weren't legally in that space, but that's
truth.
Let's deal with that at a different time. All right.
I definitely wish I had a safe word for listening to some of the open mics. And,
oh my god. Cool. Do we want to move on to our third story, or is there more on the dungeon? All right, moving on to our third story. There's a thing that we have an agreement on that if a chicken story comes up, we're gonna do it because Heather loves chickens. For me, if there's a story about a blind guy doing something cool, I'm gonna do it because for folks who may be new viewers, I am visually impaired, and anytime a blind guy does cool stuff, I'm the fuck on board. So this story, let me get my notes up for all the details on the story because I'm a big fan of it. Where are you, notes? There you go. Okay, so a guy by the name of Sean Dilley, who's a BBC correspondent, was working an overnight shift, and as he was walking out of the building, he had his phone in his hand, and a mugger just came and like grabbed the phone. And like this guy is like, just to be clear, fully blind. So he's got the cane or the dog or whatever it is, like he is completely unable to see. And some jerk thought, hey, I'm gonna go steal that guy's phone, which is an awful thing to do. But literally the minute the guy grabbed it, this guy who was totally blind, just on faith said, I think this guy's generally over here, and leapt, and in leaping landed on the guy, like, because the guy was on a bike trying to steal it. So he already had momentum, but he basically jumped onto this guy on the bike, knocked him to the floor, and got the phone back, which I think is like sort of super awesome. Initially, when people found out about this, they were giving him crap because they were like, well, you shouldn't just tackle random people. And he's like, yeah, but it was the guy who stole my phone.
He was stealing his things.
Right. So he literally had to point out, like, there's a UK law that says that if somebody's like actively stealing from, like, committing a crime, you can stop them from doing that. So, but here's the thing, like, he jumped on the mugger, he like knocked him off on the bike, got his phone back, but then was sort of in a situation where, because nobody was around, he was like, well, what do I do now? Because ultimately the mugger still got the upper hand. So he like fought with him a little bit and basically just said, like, I will let you go if you promise to just leave. And the guy did. And then after the guy left, like, people came over to like help the blind guy, but now they're like, I hate to use this word because like I feel like it's, you know, whatever, but like there are no witnesses to the crime. It's just like, because the black guy does not know what the mugger looked like other than he was on a bike. Yeah. So now this guy basically kind of got away with it, but I'm still a huge fan of the fact that this guy, like, the blind guy, like, on faith was just like, I think this guy's over here based on the fact that he tried to grab my phone, and just leapt blindly and like landed on the guy and took him out and got his phone back. So I just felt like that was a story they needed to be told because it's fun when things like that happen. Questions, thoughts, really concerns?
Cool. No, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like, F that criminal who was who you just know was like, oh, easy target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
great.
Cool.
That's my like constant concern / fear or whatever, is like, because I walk around with a cane a lot, and I was like, am I prone to being mugged because people are like, oh, that's an easy target, or am I like safe from being mugged because people are like, I'm not gonna do that. That seems like an awful thing to do. But this guy in the UK, this story occurred in the UK. like where
I feel
everybody's
like a lot
nice.
of our crazy stories happen in the UK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up in Louisville, so I was really close to the University of Kentucky. But anyway, that's only. That's why I thought the UK was the first when you said that.
University of Kentucky.
Yeah.
But no, this is great. That's like the closest to Daredevil that I've seen. Where
Yes.
a blind crime stopper. That's really cool.
Joy and I always talk about Daredevil because like we watched that show for a while before we realized that like he just guards Hell's Kitchen. He just guards like a 20 by 20 block radius.
That's
and it's
accurate.
like, yeah, it's like if something happens on the other side of Broadway, fuck him. But like if something happens over here, like if it's 8th Avenue and over, I'm on it, man. And that just, I mean, granted, he's a blind superhero. So like he's allowed to like make rules. But it just seemed like if you weren't from New York City, you would think that Hell's Kitchen is like gigantic because there's a kingpin that just works in Hell's Kitchen, and there's a superhero that just works in Hell's Kitchen, and it just seemed like, and Heather lives in Hell's Kitchen, so like, is that true? Is that what's happening?
I was gonna say, have y'all ever been to Hell's Kitchen?
I have, and I didn't have to fight any crime lords.
Well, you were lucky.
Okay, are you fighting crime lords on a regular basis?
And every time I get online late, that's why.
Okay. So before we get on to our the rest of the show, first up, I do my normal thing of if you have not liked and subscribed, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps us a ton. Lets other people know that you enjoy the content, and it reminds you that we have when we have new shows coming up. Now, as mentioned in my Facebook post, we have an update on Snoop Loops. Some of you who have been watching for a while
I'm very curious about this.
know that we've been following the saga of Snoop Loops, which is a cereal created by Snoop Dogg for little children and all that. And we've been updating when we've met all the different new characters associated with Snoop Loops. For those of you who don't recall, we have Mr. Polar Bear. We have all these other folks I can't read the names of. But you get it. Like Snoop Loops was gonna launch. So I have sad news, everybody.
No.
Snoop Loops is no more. There is no such thing as Snoop Loops. But that doesn't mean it's going away. Just bizarrely, for reasons I don't understand, they've killed the name Snoop Loops altogether and replaced it with Snoop Cereal. Even though they have the Snoop Loops name, if you go to snooploops.com, it's gone. Like, there's no more, like, it just redirects you here. So they decided that they were going to replace it with Snoop Cereal and launch Fruit Hoops. What are the other ones? The
Frosted Drizzlers? That's no.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense at all.
That's a terrible name. And Cinnamon Toasties.
Yeah, and Cinnamon Toasties. So far...
Michelle points out this is the part where Dustin reveals Snoop Loops never existed and no one but us remembers
Yes.
it, which I think is pretty great. Wait, I want to point out the dog in Cinnamon Toasties is a different lady dog, and I'm putting in air quotes because not to make any assumptions.
No, it's just a ripped version of the ripped version.
Yeah, but the other lady dog had like a different, was like a
But what makes you say that that's a lady dog?
It looks like they put mascara on that dog. I'm not saying that I have great eyesight, but
I think it's the same dog. I think it's.
they didn't put mascara on the dog. Okay, never mind. I'm wrong. But if that dog wants to be a lady, that is also okay, and I will support Cinnamon Toasties dog. Also, Frosted Drizzlers. What the hell?
Yeah,
it's the worst possible name.
Right. I know for a fact that Joy enjoys it when I say Snoop Loops, and I will not have an opportunity to say Snoop Loops anymore because there's no such thing.
So do we have a reason why? Like,
I
have questions and theories. Okay, so my question is, did Fruit Loops threaten them?
No, because
that feels like
that would make sense.
Because you couldn't.
Yeah.
Because they changed the name to Fruity Hoops.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I'm like, did like Fruit Loops threaten them like, you can't call it something that sounds like Fruit Loops. But, well, maybe they're trolling them, though, because Fruity Hoops, Frosted Drizzlers, which are clearly frosted shredded wheat,
Yeah.
and Cinnamon Toasties, which are obviously Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I mean, Cinnamon Toasties is like, they might as well just call it, yeah, it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Right?
With a dog on it. Yeah.
And I'm concerned
so many-
because let's remember, as I pointed out, there are 5 members of this team, but only 3 have cereal, and they still have not given Mr. Polar Bear a name, even though they gave him.
It's just Mr. Polar Bear.
It's just Mr. Polar Bear, and like
Frosted Drizzlers.
if you zoom in to the side of the boxes, which I cannot do, you can see that they still kept the name Mr. Polar Bear. Like they have not renamed him.
That's his name, Mr. Polar Bear.
Yeah.
It's just his whole species.
Yeah.
And you said this is Snoop Dogg's cereal?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wonder if they could have called the Cinnamon Toasties like Cinnamon Juice or something like that.
That would be really good.
They should have. They should
They
have.
should have.
Except for the lack of juice. But they totally
Still would've
could.
been
Orange juice
smart.
on the side. I don't know.
Still would have been smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will no longer be updating the story of Snoop Loops because Snoop Loops is no more.
Now it's just Snoop cereal.
Right. We may update the story of Snoop cereal, but I don't know because it lacks the charm of Snoop Loops. So
I still want to follow the story.
yeah. Also definitely have to highlight Joy's comment of next up Wheaties.
Next up, Wheaties.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. You win that
That's-
round.
They should name it that.
All right. Which brings us then.
Gosh.
That brings us to our next segment, which is What the Fact, where I, again, for new viewers, is where I go through 3 different facts, try and get everybody to guess the right answer. You're not supposed to know it. It's okay if you don't know it. That's the whole point of these questions. So let us begin with our first question. Now, I'm going to preface this question. This is about I say soccer player, but football from where it's at. The owner of this company was very weird, so I'm just giving you that information first. Heather, I'm going to come to you first on this, so
Okay.
just be ready. The English soccer player Spencer Pryor joined Cardiff City, a soccer team, and he was contractually obligated to do what, based on this contract that he signed with his team that paid him money?
Ride a tank full of drunk Santas.
No, worse. Was he required to eat sheep testicles before every single game? Was he required to have a physical liaison with a sheep? Or was he required to change his name to Sheep Sheepington? All of these were essentially punishments or potential punishments from the owner of the team because I believe he was Welsh and the rest of the team wasn't, and they wanted to punish him for being a person from a different place. So, which of these things do you believe he was contractually obligated to do? A contract he signed and agreed to do this thing.
I think C is just a delightful answer, but I don't think it's the right answer.
Okay.
I wish it was though, because I think that's hilarious. I feel like I've heard sheep effer jokes before, like sheep fuckers. And I feel like I've heard it on British stuff, so I'm gonna go with B. As much as I think that that's absolutely horrifying.
Okay. I appreciate Joy's answer in the chat of C because the others seem illegal. Don't let that
Joy,
stop
you're
you.
not wrong.
Don't
You're
let that
not wrong.
stop you. So you're gonna go with sex with a sheep.
I'm gonna go with B. Yeah.
Okay. Jacob, thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with Joy. I feel like that would be illegal to contractually have to have sex with a sheep. I don't know. I mean, any of these, I feel like he's going to be feeling really cheapish afterwards. All right. But I guess, no. Let's see here. There's a lot of sheeple in the audience of these guys. No, each sheeple. No, I was thinking it would be C as well, just because the other ones seem legally dubious. But I guess, yeah, I don't know.
So you're gonna go with C?
I'll go with C.
Okay, so we got a couple of C's. We got a B. Heather, I will admit I did one of my things. It's actually A
Is it
and
all
B.
three?
It's not all 3. It's A and B.
Both of them.
Yes.
Whoa, that surprised me a lot.
Yeah, it is unclear whether or not the article said it was
illegal ones.
Yeah, the article said it was unclear whether or not he ever actually had sex with a sheep, but he started eating the sheep balls, and they told him eventually that it was just chicken, so they didn't make him eat sheep balls. Like both of these things were things that seemingly they didn't. I mean, they have testicles. Sheep have testicles, don't they?
Not chicken.
No, I know. No, they just.
It was just chicken, not that it was chicken balls.
It was not chicken balls. No, yeah, it was just chicken made to look like sheep testicles, and he agreed to do it, and then that is question one. I don't think. Yeah,
and okay, so they're not sure if he had sex with.
Yeah, they're not sure. I believe he probably didn't, but we'll never really know. Steve Jobs is a weird guy. And in the early days of Apple, when it was just like the wild, wild west of, whatever, which of these things did he do to relax when he was stressed out around the office?
He had sex with sheep.
Yeah. Did he chase a chicken around until he caught it in a Rocky style training situation? Did he do parkour around the office so that he could, warm up his body? Or did he put his bare feet in the company toilet so he could cool them down? One of these is a thing that he definitely did. Jacob, I'll come to you first. Which do you think is the thing that he did?
These are all pretty wild. I feel like he would want to do the first one, but he might have chickened out. But I don't know. The toilet one is pretty disturbing. But parkour sounds. I mean, none of these sound relaxing, honestly. No. I guess I don't know what to say here, but I guess I'll go. I hope it's like A or B. Those seem the most reasonable. So I guess I'll go parkour B.
Okay, cool. I mean, you got Chad agreeing with you. Joy wants it to be B. Michelle, it's not all the above. I wouldn't do that for more. I mean, not that the other one was all the above, but it's not all the above. I will say that. Heather, what are your thoughts?
I feel like you just put A in to try and get me to choose it because it says chase a chicken, and that's just funny. We know we've heard he's a pretty weird dude, or that he was who he was. I'm gonna go with C.
Okay.
Because I feel like C is odd, but I also feel like from what I've read about him, he would consider that like a power move, like one of those weird, like he would put his feet in a toilet and make eye contact with people who were like lower down on the rung than him.
That seems
sort of like a look what I'm doing.
It seems like a lot of things would need to come together in order for that to be a thing.
Just invite people who report to you to come sit in the bathroom with you, and you put your feet in the toilet, and you just go like, "This is a thing I do."
I guess so.
I've worked. Yeah.
All right. So we got a lot of B's, and we got a C. The actual answer is, in my opinion, the grossest one, which is he put his bare feet in the company toilet that everybody used. It wasn't like it was his toilet. It was just like the company fucking toilet. And he would just put his feet in there. And that, no. Like, that is, gross. Yeah, that is super upsetting. Which brings us to our third question.
He was like a bully for himself.
Yes.
That's like something a bully would do to you, not like you would volunteer. He left that out of his famous speech at the graduation.
All right. Question number 3. What was the scientific name of the first dinosaur fossil ever discovered? This is the first one. We discovered dinosaurs to begin with. This was the name of the very first dinosaur that we ever discovered. Was it Scrotum humanus? Was it Gasosaurus? Or was it Bambiraptor? One of these is the name of the very first dinosaur ever made it into literature or anything. Heather, I'll go to you first. What do you think?
I want it to be B so bad, but I feel like it's probably C.
Why do you want it to be? Why do you feel like it's probably C? Why do you want it to be? Why do you think B and C?
Well, B is hilarious. Come on, Gasosaurus. That's phenomenal. What a great, absolutely great name. C, because that just feels like, I don't know. That just feels like what it's actually going to be, because it would now take on a different meaning to us. I mean, so does Gasosaurus, but and I just don't think it's A.
Okay.
I think that's too. Yeah. Plus, it wasn't a human, and it's nothing about a dinosaur fossil is going to look like a ball sack. So I don't think that it's
okay.
A.
All right, Jacob. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, Bambi Raptor reminds me of, there's this short film, Bambi Meets Godzilla, where there's like a bunch of credits while Bambi's eating, and then Godzilla just like stomps on Bambi immediately. But it sounds like it would be a great sequel to that. But yeah, the other two, sound like a little less believable. I think I would go C as well.
You're gonna go C. Okay, so we got C's across the board.
Yeah, chat also went with C.
All right. The actual answer is you're all wrong in every way.
Oh.
With Scrotum Humanus.
What?
It is.
Wow, all of these have been the most like unexpected answers.
Yeah. Let me show you a picture of the very first dinosaur
Better
fossil.
look like a nutsack.
Does it? I think
know,
it
I can't
does.
see it yet.
That's a
Oh,
fossil.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So at the time that they discovered it, they did not realize that it was a dinosaur because they didn't know what dinosaurs were. They assumed that it was the testicles of a giant that once lived and didn't live anymore, and somehow his testicles got like turned into stone. So for a while, the assumption was that they used to have giants, and the only thing they left behind was one guy's testicles. So that's why it was Scrotum Humanus. And this is probably one of my favorite questions that we've done.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
So is Michelle's
said,
comment.
"Gosh,
Yes.
no."
I'm gonna give you a thumbs up on that one.
Yeah, come on, that's good.
What year was this? This was 2 weeks ago. Surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, clearly.
It was a long ass time ago. Like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
that folio looks old.
Yeah. I can go full on it if you want to get a better shot of the.
This is going to be in Jurassic World 4, I guess.
Yeah.
Big
So-
stuff.
1677.
There you go.
That's what it says at the bottom.
So
Nice.
yeah, that's our what the facts
Whoever
for today.
discovered that fossil, that took a lot of balls. But,
Wow. Okay.
I demand a Michelle and Jacob improv set.
Yes.
Not right now. Just at some point. I'm demanding it. I'm calling it now. I want to see it.
That was definitely one of the most unexpected things that I've come across in my research. That the first dinosaur fossil they just thought was a giant's nutsack, which is
Wow.
yeah. Why do we not know more about that? I just don't understand how we don't know more about that.
Seriously. How was that not actually put into Jurassic Park? Like, even in just a cheeky way.
Right. Because I think people don't know about it, but now we do. Now we know
How
everybody.
was, like, Mr. Dino DNA not, like,
Yeah.
a nutsack?
a dinosaur must have been really testy. Anyway.
All right. Now it is time for our Would You Rathers. Heather, why don't you kick us off?
Let me find it. Come back.
I can I can just bring up the choices.
No. I got it. Okay. Would you rather be given $1 billion tax-free or press a button to get a random superpower? What? Come on. Press a button to get a random superpower. Okay,
Yeah.
Jacob, I'm coming to you. Which one of those are you choosing?
No, this is tough because I like money a lot. I think we could do a lot of fun stuff with that. I mean, a lot of superpowers are just, Iron Man and Batman are just, they're being rich. So you could become like a superhero though. So I'm tempted to go that. I feel like that would help. But then, I guess it would be cool to have a superpower. I guess I'm just nervous because it's like, I don't know, like it might not be a good superpower. It could be like you're shooting fish out of your hands or something.
Yeah.
That's you can't control it, and it's happening all the time. You're like, I don't know what to do with all these fish. So I guess I might go $1 billion. I feel like, yeah, it'd be great to be able to fly or something, but if I don't know, a lot of powers seem to be a gift and a curse. So I'll take the money, even though I feel like it's a more boring answer.
If we narrowed it down and said it had to be a superpower that existed like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so you know that it's like a worthwhile superpower, then do you go superpower?
Maybe, yeah, that would be fun, I guess, to be able to, you know, fly or be super strong or something. So, yeah, I guess, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do that.
I mean, you could get Hawkeye. Like, you could just get, like, you could shoot arrows real good.
Just good at archery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, yeah, that's why I'm still tempted to go with the $1 billion, but yeah, I don't know. The tough one.
Dustin?
Oh boy. I didn't think about this one beforehand, and I probably should have. But like my inclination is to go. Superpower. Well, I guess like if we're taking the conceit of it has to be something from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that's happened, then yes. I think I'm with. I guess I'm with Jacob in this. That like I think if I know that it's potentially like, because if you get Hulk, then you're just like I'm golden. Like, I can't be killed. I live forever. I'm super strong. Like, I think it's worth, if you figuring that there's maybe like 100 good superpowers. Like, I think if you make that narrow down, but yeah, I don't want to have like fish coming out of my hands. I don't know. I'm saying a lot of different words, but I'm gonna go. If I have to pick, I'm gonna go superpower.
Wow. Okay. I started laughing reading this question because I saw it earlier and I forgot, and then I remembered. And I personally think this is like the easiest question because exactly like what Jacob led off saying with like when you think of superpowers like a superhuman, super people like Iron Man and Batman who are already rich and are superheroes. That $1 billion is tax free. We're also like, I want to call that out. Like that was $1 billion tax free. There is so much you can do with that. You can save it. You can do good with it. You could 100% develop some kind of cool superpower. Like there's so much you could do with that. And also, as we all, I think, realize, it just does make life easier if you have money. So I easily choose $1 billion.
I do want to Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't care what random superpower it is, even if it's one of the cool ones. It's random, so I don't get to know which one it is. So, like, what if it seems cool to someone, but I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't really care if I get the weather one, where it's like control the weather. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'd still take the money. I'm going with the money.
Okay, you're so wrong. Because let's say you get the weather one.
No, I'm correct because I will be able to buy. I could probably buy a cloud inseminating thing if I really needed to like do things.
Right. I think people's perception of $1 billion, like you couldn't be Batman with $1 billion. It would cost you like $600 million just to build the fucking Batcave. So
but
like,
I could be my version of Batman.
Right, but like if you could create a storm, you could just easily go to like to places where they need water and just be like, boom, give me $1 million, water, and you just do that a bunch of times, and like you have your $1 billion. You could earn the $1 billion so easily with a superpower, with a random one that you pick.
Super villain, is that what you're saying?
No,
that sounds like some super villain behavior.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
I'm going to control the weather so that I can go and extort money out of people.
No, they want it to begin with. There's no way for them to get it. I'm not extorting it. I'm not saying I'm going to make it hot here until you give me money. I'm saying you have a problem. I can solve it. Also, give me money.
Sounds like how Amazon started.
People like to pretend like superheroes don't need cash, but they do. They have to go somewhere. They have to get paid something. Otherwise, they're just living in like a tiny little bullshit apartment. So you might as well take advantage of it. I'm just saying, there's no superpower that you could get that you couldn't turn into $1 billion if you tried. That's all I'm trying to say. So,
Yeah,
I think you're wrong.
I'm not trying. I'm going with the $1 billion.
right.
Yeah, I feel like it sounds stressful being a superhero. Just
Yeah, right?
you have to fight crime all the time.
Right. And then like what if you just want to sit at home and like not have anyone bother you, and right, someone's like, hey, knock knock knock, like there's some crime happening. Right. And now you've got to go. And now you feel bad because you're like, I really should because I've got that superpower. Yeah.
Okay. But that's sort of the point too, though, is like you can have a superpower without being a superhero. Like we only ever hear about that, but you could just also like you can fly just because you want to. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to save people. Like you're not required to save people. You could just like you could just do your cool shit. Is all I'm saying. But
I just want to point out that Michelle in the chat has come up with a fan theory that you are Batman because we've never seen you Bruce Wayne or Batman in the same room. Why do you know how much the Batcave costs? And that this is why you don't like puns.
okay, the Batcave thing, because Joy watches a lot of shows where people buy houses internationally, and it gives me a basic sense of how much things would cost. So I'm trying to figure out, like, okay,
House Hunters Batcave edition.
Correct. I'm just saying, like, if you go, like, okay, that house costs, let's say, like, $6 million or whatever it is, and then you go, okay, great. Now, what would it cost to put it in the ground? And as soon as you put it in the ground, and you're running water down there, and you're running electricity down there, it adds up. I'm just saying, you'd be through half your money before you fought a crime.
Well,
Just
dungeons
building
are
a
only 250,000 apparently.
That's true.
There you go. See?
Right, but if at the end of the day you go back to a dungeon, then you're the bad guy. Like, you can't be a superhero that lives in a dungeon. Even if you're doing good, people are going to be like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
Not if it's a city. Yeah, not if it's a city-funded consensual dungeon.
agree to disagree.
Take the $1 billion.
I'm not. I'm taking the superpower. You guys are wrong, and I will go to war over it. Let's move on to question number 2.
Wow.
Jacob, this one is for you.
Okay, looks like it was, would you rather go 3 days without eating or go 30 days without taking a shower?
Who do you want to give it to?
I guess, Heather, what do you think about this?
I don't like either of these. They're both horrible choices. 3 days without eating is going to be unpleasant, and like, I guess you can live, but that's going to be really unfortunate living, like really uncomfortable. But I think that I'm going to be with Joy in the chat here, because I don't really enjoy like one day if I'm like not on top of showering. Like if I'm like off from work and I just don't shower for most of the day, I feel pretty awful. Michelle's like, you'd stop noticing this. I mean, yes, you probably would stop noticing your own like funkiness, but it also is like gotta feel. You just start to feel like sticky and gross, and yeah, I don't think I could do it. I think I'm gonna go with I'll do the 3 days without eating, and I'll just drink a lot of water and hope that like helps, because I just don't think I don't. No, I'm thinking about all the different things that can just get so dirty in 30 days. No.
I feel like half the nation got like halfway there during the pandemic when they just didn't leave the house, and they're like, fuck it, I'm not showering. I was not one of those people. I showered every day.
I do know a lot of people who talked about like, yeah, who were just like, oh, I was lucky if I showered once a week. And I know that I was like, okay.
I'm assuming there were people who lived alone, because I feel like
I don't know.
A significant other would not put up with that.
Michelle would like to know what the Joker is like in real life.
This is something the Joker would do. He'd make you choose.
Yeah, would make you choose between these two. Yeah.
So you're going with 3 days without
I
eating.
am reluctantly. I hate both these options, but I am reluctantly going to go 3 days without eating.
Okay. I guess it's me then. Okay, so here's the question. I think I would go. I think if I was going the 30 days, the no bathing, I would want to do it in isolation, meaning that like I would not want to affect anybody else. But if I had to just like live my current life and not bathe for 30 days, then I would not eat for 3 days because like it would negatively impact like everything that I did. Like I'd have to just stop my life down. But if I was basically just like, hey, this is 30 days where you're not allowed to see anybody else or do anything else anyway, like don't bathe for 30 days, then I would go with the don't bathe for 30 days, even though I would hate each and every second of it. But I get cranky if I don't eat lunch by like 1:30. So, you know, but then the counter to that is if you get a colonoscopy, you're like halfway there. So like, cause it's like a day and a half or 2 days worth of like real not goodness. So you're already kind of like training for that. But if we're saying the normal world, then I'm going to go 3 days without eating. So that's my answer. How about you, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, these are both pretty unpleasant. I think, no, food is really important to me, so I would probably, yeah, I do shower every day now, but yeah, I think I'd rather go the 30 days without bathing. And I think I read an article one time about this guy that like didn't shower for a year and like, oh yeah, it's great. I don't know. I wouldn't really want to do that, but if I had to, I think food is just so important to me. I feel like, yeah, going 3 days without eating, I feel like I would either die or want to die or like have some kind of health side effects. But yeah, it would be definitely pretty unpleasant to like not shower for 30 days. But I'm thinking like of times where I've been like camping or things like that, and like if I was doing something like that in nature or something where I didn't have to be in society, then
Maybe
that would help.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'll go 30 days without showering. Yeah, as unpleasant as it will be.
we almost did a story, and I didn't do it because it was super gross, but I'm going to tell it now anyway, about a guy who only bathed like twice in the last like 60 years.
Wow.
And he died like a week after bathing, like the second time, because his body like basically like rebelled against being clean. Is what like they're not saying it could have been coincidental, but like he basically bathed when he was like he bathed when he was younger, and then he bathed like once at like 30 and then once at like 60 and then died.
Is that like is that a forgotten or discarded lyric from that Alanis Morissette song?
Yeah, it feels like it.
Right?
It's like
bathing twice.
Yeah. And then you die.
Yeah, he was super gross looking, and it wasn't like he was like he couldn't afford to. He just like he had made the decision that he was not gonna do it, but like he had ample opportunity. Like he could have done it whenever he felt like it, and just chose not to.
As I often say during this podcast, I'm going to need to look this up afterwards because I need to know more about this.
Yeah, maybe don't if you want. Like, I mean, do, but like it's also gross.
I like to read about science. I don't need to live it, but.
Yeah. All right, moving on to question number 3, which is my question, and it's sort of a take on a question that we had done previously, but this one is got slightly different parameters. So, your choices are: would you prefer every day the way you're woken up is that somebody just slaps you right across the face? Or every day when you go to bed by getting knocked unconscious by getting punched. But the conceit is that it never does any permanent damage. It just knocks you unconscious and then you go to sleep. Jacob, I'm going to go to you first. Would you rather get slapped awake or punched to sleep every day?
I mean, maybe slapped awake because that's just what I'm into. But no, I think... No, this is tough. I think I actually have trouble falling asleep. So if someone could punch me asleep, that might be actually. You said there's no long-term, that would actually be great. Just because I feel like I have so much trouble falling asleep that I would. I guess I'll go with that one if there's no. Although being punched sounds really painful, so I'll switch it back. I'll go with a slapped awake.
You know, slapped awake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heather.
much like Jacob, I have vacillated between these two for very similar reasons, because I also am a person that has trouble falling asleep. And I had a moment where I was like, well, if it's not going to cause brain damage, it's a nice way to just get that guaranteed sleep. But I also feel like it would,
oh man, I got an early flight in the morning. I better go to bed at like 9:30.
It could be convenient if you're like, hey, I really need to I need to make sure I sleep. I can't anxiety stay up or whatever, or like my brain keeps me awake. So you just tell someone like, hey, just knock me out. So I did consider it, but I also feel like it would hurt a lot. And like while getting slapped awake is going to be awful and startling and not fun. On the other hand, is an alarm not just slapping your ears awake, kind of? So, I guess I'm going to go with slapped awake.
I mean, but just for the record, try that tomorrow with Chris. Be like, I need to wake up at 7. Instead, slap me in the face. Like,
yeah, no, it's okay. I don't need to. I like to read about science. I don't need to live it. So,
but you would choose slapped awake.
I think I will choose that. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't vacillate as much as you guys. I went with a punch to sleep because I feel like there's like a small period of time that like it sucks. You're like, ow, and then you're unconscious. So I feel like as long as there's no permanent damage, then the amount of time where it sucks is limited. If you're slapped awake, then like you're aware of the slap the whole time. You got the slap and you're like, oh man. But like if you got punched asleep, then you're like, you only have that fraction of a second before you're like knocked out. So I feel like that's, to me, punch to sleep seems like all upside, assuming no brain damage. So I'm gonna go with punch to sleep. But it seems like chat wants to go with slap. So all right.
Yeah, I do have trouble getting my day started in the morning too, so maybe this would help me. Just be like, all right, I'm up.
Certainly, yeah.
Sometimes I just take forever to get out of bed.
Would it?
What I mean.
Would your decision be affected by who does the slapping or punching? Like, if it's a rando versus a significant other, which would you prefer it to be?
Well, is this person, so they're coming into your house and slapping you and then they just leave after? Is that the situation?
Right, yeah. Well, if it's a rando, yes. It's the person whose job it is to slap or punch you. Would you prefer that, or would you prefer a scenario where, like, you have a significant other or something and they come and it's their job right before you're about to go to bed or to wake up to slap it? Would you want it to be somebody you know and care about, or somebody who you never talk to other than this?
No, I don't know. I'm not like dating anyone, so I don't know. I guess if I was dating someone, then it could be them. But yeah, I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, to Michelle's point, what if it's the city council ladies? What if it's...
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure. I mean, no, I don't know.
Okay, Heather?
I don't think it matters. Yeah, I don't really think it matters. I think the only reason I would want it to be someone I know is just for kind of a similar aspect of like, I don't want strangers in my home.
Okay.
So like for that reason, I wouldn't want it to be a stranger. But if there was like no stranger danger kind of aspect to it, then I don't really care.
See, I would think that like, if, let's say I chose the slapping one, like, I feel like I would want it to be like some rando because like having like Joy do it every day, eventually I know like, well, it's part of the would you rather, it's sort of a magic thing and you're not doing it because you want to, you're doing it because you have to based on like the would you rather magic. But I still think I would be like, stop slapping me. Like, I feel like I would eventually develop negative feelings towards it. So I'd rather, I'd rather it be a rando. That way I could just like, oh, I hate that guy or girl, or mistress lady. Like, no, Joy, you are not slapping me. You are not. So, all right. And that is our final question for the evening, which brings us to the end of our show. Jacob, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find out more about what you got going on?
Well, I guess I'm on social media. Mr. Jacob Williams is my Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and everything. So yeah, I post about stand-up shows and I post comedy clips of my stand-up and Wild and Out and stuff on there. But on YouTube, I do have a 1-hour comedy special called Unemotional Roller Coaster. It's an hour of stand-up I'm really proud of, so I hope people enjoy that as well. And
Awesome.
I'll be doing new jokes at live shows, so yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Heather, how about you? What do you got coming up?
Nothing coming up at the moment, but my musical improv team, Red Shirts, we are continuing to gear up towards more live shows. We just did some like the last week or right before the holidays, we did some. So follow us on Red Shirts Musical Improv and find out when our next show is, because we'll definitely have one coming up probably within the next month or so.
Awesome. And for me, as usual, you can follow us at Super Important Stuff. You can also follow me, but I don't have my Instagram I need to put my Instagram here so that I can actually have people follow me in person too. But for the meantime, for right now, follow us at Super Important Stuff. And I have a show coming up this Friday at Young Ethel's at 6 p.m. As part of a fundraiser for the Between Us production company. So come watch me do a little bit of stand-up. And I think some of it will be new, but I don't know. Let's see. Maybe I should bring the best stuff. We'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for another episode, starting off 2023. Thank you, Jacob, for being part of our show, and we will see y'all again next week. Bye.